Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of tools, freeware tools for forensic video processing and analysis. So in previous weeks we looked at a list of tools that I use and you can use free to download for ingesting, analyzing, processing video evidence. We then looked at how to create a virtual machine. And why we do that and what are the benefits of doing that. And this week we're going to look at the command prompt and using the command line to get Windows to execute a series of instructions that we need to automate, if you like, to make our life easier, essentially. And It's kind of interesting because using the command line, it will kind of tie in a little bit with what we're going to do next, which perhaps will be a little bit more interesting and entertaining because, from next week, perhaps we're going to look at handling handling video effectively, whereas up to now we looked more at, logistical and, more logistical procedures that will allow us what to do easier and better what's coming next. So it's just as important in my opinion. And the example that I'm going to use today is to automate a series of instructions that will delete the virtual machine in its current state. And to show you how that's done, I've basically messed up my virtual machine, which you can see on the screen. So this is like a Windows XP virtual machine, and I've messed it up a little. I created a lot of random shortcuts on my desktop just to prove that when I've used the command line to execute a series of instructions in order, then this will be deleted and will be automatically replaced by a fresh template of a virtual machine that will also automatically launch and will get us back into a fresh state, if you like, a fresh and controlled state, as I call it. So let's have a look at the command prompt. So whether you're using Windows XP 7, 10, 11, you can find this obviously in more recent operating system. You can just type it, so command prompt. In older ones, you can find it in the menu somewhere. So command prompt, and then what I do, I right click on it and type run as administrator. And the reason why I do this is because it gives me full admin access to the command prompt. And sometimes if you don't and you want to execute some some admin instructions, such as, for example, deleting system files or system folders or things like that, then you will get errors if you don't run it in full admin control. You got to be wary of using this on a network system, on a network system, because it's going to be restricted by the network administrator, so effectively the person or the team that controls the network in your organization. But if you're working from a standalone machine, which you should be really if you're doing forensic video processing and analysis, then you will have complete control over it. So command prompts works. It's just a black window with some text on it, and then you just write down what you want to do effectively, rather than clicking on files or clicking on icons effectively by moving your mouse. So at the moment is ready for us to do something in this folder, in this particular folder, the Windows System 32 folder, and it will get here by default. But without going too much into detail, I can tell command prompts that I want to go back to the root of the C drive, and therefore go back one directory, which is instructed to do by typing cd ... And then that gets back to one directory further back, and then I go back to the C drive, tapping that again, and now we're back into the root of the C drive. For example, if I wanted to list the contents of this folder, I just type dir, and here we got all the contents of this folder. So it's all basically navigating the system and executing commands by typing them down. It's a bit, you might think, is a bit trickier, but you will find later on, perhaps next week, when we look at FFmpeg, An FFmpeg is basically a video engine that, in its very raw state, is controlled by executing in a command prompt effectively. You can get, like I was saying to you before, you can get graphic user interfaces. So yes, you can operate FFmpeg by clicking buttons with your mouse, but you will see that you will have a lot more control over it by using it in command prompt. And also this way, you will be able to create an audit log, if you like, of the command that you use, that you wrote down. So everything you do will be reproducible, accountable, which is what we need to be able to do in science and the forensic video processing and analysis as well. So for this particular example, what I want to show you is, as I said to you before, I think it's how to delete this mess of a virtual machine and replace it with a fresh template, and when that's done, to open it up automatically. And that's 3 instructions already. I can do this manually by going into Windows Explorer, deleting folders, then copy the folder from one location, putting it into another, then clicking the software that will open it, and then click on that location. You see, is a little bit more, it's a series of things that I need to do on top of everything else. With the command prompt, by creating a script that is basically a list of instructions in order, this will all be automatic, and that's why it is so good. So before I do that, I'll show you the logistics of how my virtual machine works. So my virtual machine lives in the C drive, and here you can see I've got 3 folders. The one I want to show you today is the Windows XP one, which is this one, is also because it's the quickest one to load. So here you see a set of files, and this effectively is your virtual machine. And then when there's one particular file which has got a file format of VMX, this is what the virtual machine software will need to load. So we'll load this file, and then together with all the others, it will launch the virtual machine. The only thing you need to be wary of, that this one here is a fresh template, and the virtual machine that you're seeing here, which is now all messed up, it's in a temporary location on my C drive, and here it is. So effectively, what you're seeing here is operated by these files here. So what I want to do effectively, I want to delete the contents of this directory because it's now messed up. And then I want to copy the contents of this directory, which is where my fresh template is, to go in here again. And then when that's done, I want my virtual machine control panel, which is this one here, to load the new contents of what's in the temporary directory. And I'm going to use a script to do that, and therefore create an automation, if you like, which will make my life much easier. So my script lives actually in here, in the same directory where the template is. I can double click on this, and this will come up with a command prompt automatically populated by the instructions that I need, or I can edit it. So if I want to edit it, I right click on it and click edit. And here you see your commands in order as I want them to be executed. So the first command here, rmdir, is basically a command for deleting the contents of this directory, the temporary directory, which is where my screwed up virtual machine lives right now. Then when that's done, I want the command line to copy, and that's what xcopy stands for. That's the command to do just that. The contents of where my fresh template lives here in the C drive into the temporary location again, which is now empty. And then when that's done, I want the virtual machine control panel to load the VMX file now in that temporary location. And now I'm going to just do just that. Before I do though, I'll shut down this horrible and screwed up virtual machine here just by turning off the virtual Windows XP. That's going to take a minute or so. And then what I'm going to do now, I am going to execute the script this time. So from the root of the C drive, execute the script. Uh, so now you'll see the command prompt comes up, but it's already populated by the commands that are in that script. So it's gonna, you see, it's gonna, the first line of that script is in here, and it's gonna, that means basically delete the contents of this folder. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Now what you want, now the xcopy command that you saw before is going to come up, and is ready to copy the contents of the fresh templates of the virtual machine into the temporary location. It's just asking whether it's a file or a folder, and it's a folder. So I'm going to type D for folder, and now it's going to put that into the temporary location and load it back up. And this is all automatic now. And now hopefully a fresh template of Windows XP is going to come up. And here we go, cleaned up. So if my previous virtual machine was completely screwed up, say for example, I installed a lot of video codecs because I was testing a player, and those video codecs were conflicted with others and completely screw up my Windows Media Player, I can just go back to that fresh state. And this is also great for ISO accreditation for those of the UK, because you can set up the template of your virtual machine with the specific settings, codecs, and tools, and reporting facilities that you need in order to do what you need to do. And that way, you will be sure that everyone will be using the same system. And if you work in law enforcement, you'll know that everybody's got their machine set up as they want it, which is great. But effectively, when it comes to producing the same results, which is effectively what science is, that can create some problem, because if someone has got code in their machine that you don't have in yours, then effectively they can produce without knowing results different from yours. But by using a preset template of a virtual machine that everybody uses in this raw state, then that will obviously ensure that the results will be the same, as much as possible. So there you go, guys. I hope that makes sense. It's a bit of it's a fairly complex topic, but I hope I explained it as easy as I can. But this example really is just also to take us to what next, which is basically operating FFmpeg, which is a powerful video engine that will allow you to play back and process a lot of CCTV, for example, using it in command line, because that's how you'll get more control, and more auditing facilities. So thank you for watching for now, and I will see you next for the next episode, where we'll be looking at FFmpeg. See you later, guys.